Welcome, everybody, to the Open Ocean Pod. Thank you for joining us today. I have with me the wonderful Hannah. She is an ocean enthusiast, just like us. And today we'll be speaking about her journey into science communication, the importance of ocean literacy, and much more. So I'm excited to get started with our conversation. Hannah, thank you for being here.
Oh, well, thank you very much for having me. I'm super, super excited.
Of course. So I would like to get started. I ask every guest at the beginning, what is your favorite species and why?
That is such a great question. It's actually always been um, the sunfish, so the mola mola. That's been always my favorite species. Um, and it's mainly because I feel like they look like a child has been given a crayon and asked to draw like a really bad fish. They just look so funky and so weird, and I just love them for that. So they've always been my favorite.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Amazing. I'll try and put up an image as well. So let's talk about marine biology posts and what you're doing now.
Yeah, so it's such a cliche, but I've always loved the ocean ever since I was younger. I always kind of knew I wanted to do marine biology, so kind of getting into it like educationally kind of just made sense to me. And I studied at Southampton University, doing a MSci in marine biology. And yeah, while I was there, and while I was kind of looking to study, yeah, I found a kind of niche that needed to be filled in terms of like talking about marine biology online. So I got quite into science communication throughout my degree, and then specialized in my last year in killer whale foraging ecology, and wrote my dissertation on that. And then since then, I had a little break in between uni, and what I'm doing now. And I went traveling with some of my friends, which was really fun. And then now I'm working for the Field Studies Council as a biology tutor. So I teach kind of outdoor field work to students. And at the same time, I'm publishing my paper from university, and then also doing some science communication online. So a
Yeah.
few things.
Amazing, amazing. So for those of you that don't know, the Marine Biology Posts is your science communication outlet. And yeah, you said that started when you were at university?
Yes, yeah. So, well, when I was looking to get into kind of studying marine biology at uni, I
Mm,
wanted to like watch those YouTube videos and see kind of people's other experiences and kind of what to expect kind of going in. And to be fair, there wasn't really that much like online. There was only a few YouTube videos and I couldn't really find out much information about it.
yeah.
So then when I started uni, I just mostly started taking those videos and like sending them to my parents and being like, look what I'm doing this week kind of thing. And then I just thought, oh, then maybe this is a kind of good opportunity to kind of share what it's like, um, and share what we get up to. So that's how it kind of started. But originally, I didn't really film loads of my own content. It was more kind of sharing other people's videos that I'd found and really enjoyed, and then combining that with like marine biology knowledge I'd learnt during uni and like cool fun facts that I'd researched. So that's kind of how it started. And then gradually, kind of over the years, got a bit more confident, like filming my own things and putting
Yeah.
my face online. So I've started kind of making it more personal, and making my own videos now. So that's kind of where it's at.
Amazing. Okay, I really want to jump more into the like specific details of that, but also I want to ask, do you think that the posting online and sort of having a little bit of a presence helped you to like solidify the knowledge that you were learning about in your lectures and stuff?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it also kind of pushes you to make more research and to kind of look into things in more detail. So if you'd, come back from a lecture and gone, wow, that was super interesting. I'd love to like explain that to people and share that knowledge. It also makes you delve into it a lot more, and solidifies, yeah, your own understanding. Because to be able to communicate it well, you've got to understand it really well. So it definitely
Yeah.
did kind of encourage you to really kind of know your stuff. So that was very helpful.
Amazing. I think that's a key takeaway people can use as like a revision technique almost.
Yeah.
Like if you ever need a tip for revision, definitely explaining things to other people is a good one.
Oh yeah, 100%. So, when I was in halls in my first year, um, I met like my best friend. She also studied marine biology, and we would literally meet up after lectures and before exams, and we would just sit and like we had a whiteboard and we'd explain stuff to each other and like pretending we were like teachers and stuff, and it literally worked so well for us. So it's a great tip.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I love that. And especially it's exam season right now. So any revision help we
Yeah.
can get is amazing. Yeah, so I'd like to talk a little bit more about your dissertation as well, just before we jump into the communication stuff. So can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so again, like when I was kind of at uni, you probably found a similar thing, but initially,
Mm.
kind of when you start, you're not really forced to specialize very early on. You get an opportunity to kind of explore lots of different topics and figure out what you
Yeah,
like. And I think that's so important because marine biology already is quite niche, but then it also has like so many different aspects that you can go into. And it can be difficult knowing what you want to study. I found it really hard because I found a lot of things really interesting and I didn't
yeah,
know where I wanted to specialize. So it was quite a really great experience having that freedom to explore lots of different topics. And then, kind of in your third year, you have to start setting up what you want to do your dissertation on for your final project.
mhm,
And I spoke to quite a few different people, a few different professors at uni to see what kind of options there were. And I stumbled upon Ryan, who does loads of work with marine mammals. And he had the opportunity to work on a project with him looking at killer whales. So the project basically was using lots of data that other people had collected. I unfortunately didn't get out on any boats to go and see some killer whales. It was a lot of stuff kind of online where I
yeah,
basically like synthesized lots of published data looking at carbon and nitrogen isotopes. And you can use these isotopes to determine kind of where and what orcas are foraging on.
mhm,
And then using some kind of isoscape models, you're able to compare populations from different locations. So lots and lots of coding was done. And then that was basically my project. So it was looking at across the world how different populations forage and where they fit kind of in trophic levels and what that means for their conservation status and kind of overall survival. So that
yeah.
was kind of the project.
Super cool. It is super cool. And obviously you were working with isotopes and you were coding. So they're two skills that maybe are quite specific. Like, did you feel like before you got in got into the project, were you like prepared or
I'm not supposed to be an expert yet. The whole point is that over that project, you learn more and more and more. And even when you're done, there's still tons more to learn. So it's very exciting.
yeah, I love that. So you don't have to be an expert, obviously. The whole point is to become an expert or somewhat.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. I also have this sort of, I don't know, motto that like we're all learners and we're all students throughout our whole lives, and we need to aim to be.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's no cap on it, you know, there's like an endless amount of information out there and new research is coming out all the time
Yeah.
and you're never going to know everything about everything. And I think accepting that and realizing that you're always going to be learning. That's so exciting. It would be so boring if you knew everything straight away. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's very exciting.
Okay, so let's talk about marine biology posts a little bit more, your Instagram page. Um, so you said that you started at uni and it was sort of just a way to like fill that gap that you felt needed to be out there. And can you talk a bit more about like when you realized it started to grow a little bit? Was it a fast process? Was it slow? And like what kind of role did it play in your life?
Um, so I started it out and I really didn't have any expectations at all from it.
Yeah.
I kind of was like, this is just like a fun side hobby, and yeah, I didn't really ever think it would go anywhere, to be honest.
Mm.
And yeah, it was just a kind of way to share what I was learning and yeah, kind of consolidate my own knowledge, and also just like a fun side quest to do.
Yeah.
And then it actually took off quite quickly, but I would say for the first year, it's kind of like gradual but consistent growth. So it was never like um, an overnight crazy sensation. It was more like persistent, kind of every day, growing very gradually. But I also think lots of platforms have changed a lot since then. Like TikTok is now huge, and it wasn't such a big thing when I started. And I think algorithms change over time. So, um, yeah, when I started, it was like 5 years ago now, so it's quite a while ago. But it was very, very slow. But within a year, it had grown quite a bit, or a lot more than I'd ever expected.
Yeah.
But it did take quite a lot of work. I was posting like 3 times a day at the
Wow.
beginning, and doing lots of like hashtags and things just to try and get as much reach as possible, to try and get the posts out there. So um, it was quite a bit of work to do kind of outside of uni, but I really enjoyed doing that, and it's very satisfying when you see your hard work kind of paying off and you slowly getting more people commenting and engaging with it. It's really rewarding in that sense.
Yeah. It's interesting as well that like 3 times a day is definitely a commitment. And yeah, was it just like your a fun thing to do, or did you have a vision of like getting it out there to as many people as possible? I guess both at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both, I think. Yeah, sometimes it was like uh not a chore, but sometimes you'd spend like all day, you're really tired, and I was like, oh, I have to post now, or like I really should post today. And sometimes it would be like harder to get really enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
But I tried to try and keep it light and just be like, this is an enjoyable thing, and like not put too much pressure on it.
Mhm.
And then I think once like it started kind of taking off a bit more, you get that reward and that kind of kickback, and you go, oh, this is actually really worth pursuing and keep
Yeah.
doing. And then yeah, it kind of snowballs and it becomes a little bit easier over time because you get that kind of reward back. But yeah, initially I think it is difficult to post and you feel like it's not going anywhere, or it's just like your parents liking it or your friend, and you're like, oh, this is so frustrating.
Yeah.
But having like that consistency is really key, I think, because loads of people can start an Instagram account, but actually, if you keep posting on it every single day or as much as
Mhm.
possible, being consistent trumps all of that, because it just shows that you're really dedicated, and a lot of people probably stop really quickly if they don't see like instant success. So yeah,
Yeah.
trying to persevere and be consistent, really.
Yeah, I like that. And persistence along with you obviously had like this intrinsic motivation as well. To, you had this passion. So that's important as well. It's like making sure that it's also high quality, not
Yeah,
just consistent.
yeah, no, definitely. And I guess that also came with it of yeah, you didn't want to just post just anything. It had to be meaningful and it had to be correct and informative. So that's kind
Yeah.
of also where that like effort comes in, is making sure that what you're putting out there is valuable and has like a
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah, amazing. And now you've had a broader reach, do you notice any impact that your content has had on how people view marine conservation or marine science in
Yeah.
general?
Yeah, I think that is what is so rewarding about it actually, is like just the creating of a community of people that like similar things or have similar interests. And I get loads of parents commenting, being like, "Oh, my 11-year-old loves marine biology," and I show her your videos. Like, that is so heartwarming. It genuinely makes everything worth it. And it's so, so nice. So I think, yeah, having that community of people that like similar things, and want similar things and have similar goals, that is massive because, again, you know, marine biology is huge, but it's also quite niche. I was the only person at my college that like I knew of that wanted to study it at uni, and I think that can feel isolating, and then not knowing what to expect is quite isolating as well. So being able to create a space where people can ask questions and have them answered, and just to create more of a conversation around it, is really great. So that's been really wonderful to see.
Yeah. It is really validating as well to see that out there. It's like it's a good role model for people, I feel like. Um having somebody to look at online is really inspiring.
Yeah, and I think it's also nice to like share highs and lows about it as well, because
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's, we all know with like Instagram versus reality, like you don't want to create a false narrative about
Mm.
um people idolizing something. I really wanted to set out the account, so maybe like underrepresented things or like issues in the field, or just, yeah, things where maybe people didn't realize, like coding, a lot of people didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So like opening a space where you can talk honestly and openly about it has been really, really great, because yeah, you want people to know the reality of what they're getting into, and give them as much
Yeah.
information as possible so they can make like informed decisions about it too.
Yeah.
Because yeah, such a common thing is people asking, in reality, like, how much time are you out in the field or like out at sea on a boat in nice conditions versus in a lab or behind a computer. And yeah, there's definitely like common misconceptions about it. So yeah, having a space where you can be honest about it is really great too.
Yeah, definitely. And you see that narrative a lot more in like other disciplines, like when people are considering, I don't know, going into law or medicine or anything like that. Obviously, they're really talked about like a lot. And I feel like they're prepped, they prepare students for that in a more realistic way. But yeah, marine biology, you're kind of like, I don't know about you, but I was always met with the question of like, oh, what are you going to do with marine biology? Like, are
Yeah.
you going to be a teacher
Yeah.
or like what? I was like,
Yeah, that is so true. That is such a common thing with people going, like, what job can you actually get, or like there are new jobs, and yeah, like what are you gonna do with your with your life? Big questions like that, and it's really
yeah,
scary having to, like, you feel like you have to defend yourself,
yeah,
and justify your entire life decision. So it is kind of it is scary. So having a space where like those conversations are had and like there's more clarity around it is so great. And it's been like same for me. I, coming out of uni, didn't really know career wise what the field was going to be like. You get bits of information at university, but until you're actually kind of out there applying for work and seeing kind of what options you have, that can be quite scary. So it's been great because I've started connecting with lots of people in the field and getting to talk to them about their careers. And, I'm still learning like so much about marine biology kind of outside university.
Mm.
So it's been really helpful both ways in that sense, because yeah, I'm kind of learning as I'm going still. Like we said, it's interesting,
Yeah.
it's exciting.
Yeah, I kind of also wanted to say that like it's funny the difference between talking about marine biology within the academic space, like with, I don't know, maybe the people that you're working with or like professors or people higher up, and then talking about it to different audiences, like, I don't know, stakeholders or to the general public. Um, and you can learn so much from each of those interactions. I think it's really important.
Yeah, no, so it is so great. And yeah, everyone has slightly different opinions, and it is so valuable to actually like immerse yourself in all of those things, because I think, if you're closing your mind off and kind of only funneling yourself down the one route, you have like such tunnel vision and you can get really locked in, and it's not really the best way to be. You've got to be open to all of those different narratives.
Yeah, especially being in such a like changing space as marine biology. Like you can, I guess, just stick to, okay, if I just enjoy like experiments and the science, then you can stick to that. But if you want to have like a super big impact, then you kind of have to keep those perspectives like open and
Yeah,
feel open to that.
definitely. I think like it's quite a common thing just in science in general, that a lot of people are incredible researchers and collect the most incredible data, and they do these amazing studies, but being able to communicate their research effectively, is such a powerful tool, because the more people you can tell about and can understand what you've actually done, the bigger impact it's going to have just in kind of everyday's perspective. So changing kind of people's views and kind of clarifying that information, but then also in terms of like policy and legislation and getting actual like real world change out there. It's such an important skill to have. So yeah, kind of exposing yourself to as much of those different things as possible is great. And yeah, it is tricky, because you know, public speaking and putting yourself out there online is so nerve-wracking, and it's not for everyone, but it
Mhm.
is it is a really great thing to be able to do, in any way that
Yeah.
you can. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And, like we said, putting yourself out there on online is definitely a tricky thing to do. It's great if you can do it. But what do you think are some other like effective ways to promote, marine science and new information to those different audiences?
I think you know, everyone learns or takes in information in very like different ways. So just
Yeah.
making your whatever you want to say, kind of putting it into lots of different formats and making it accessible and digestible for lots of different people is really key. So if making TikToks and Instagram isn't for you, then maybe writing a blog or having some kind of more like written format might be
Yeah.
better, or even doing more like community outreach, and finding like volunteering events where you can go and talk to other people,
Yeah.
and then more formally, I suppose, speaking with other researchers at different conferences.
Hmm.
That's a really great way. But it's trying to diversify that stream of information to make sure you can kind of reach as many people as possible.
Yeah.
That's really key. But it's, even within like the social media space, it's quite crazy, because I think even between like Instagram and TikTok, I post the same video sometimes on both, and they'll do drastically different in terms of like engagement or reach or
Mm.
whatever,
Yeah.
just between those two platforms. So I think, yeah, just trying to get it out in as many spaces as possible. Um, that's how you're going to have the biggest impact, is basically telling everyone, even if it's your neighbor or your best friend, just
Yeah.
getting it out there.
Yeah, of course. Just having conversations at the very least is beneficial. Okay. So have you ever had any like misconceptions that you can think of about ocean or marine biology that you find yourself like correcting?
Yes, actually, it makes me giggle quite a bit because um, recently, so I went to a conference back in February,
Yeah.
and I was super lucky because I ended up randomly going out on a boat trip when I was there, and we came across like a pod of wild orcas, which was
Oh,
insane. It was definitely the best
yeah.
moment of my life. But I had brought my GoPro and cable tied it to a selfie stick and like stuck it in the side of the boat to see them underwater. And I got like quite a good clip of them swimming past, which was really cool. But I posted it on TikTok and I didn't really think anything of it. And then it actually went really viral and it got like 7 million views, which was insane. I couldn't believe it.
Oh my
But pretty
gosh.
much like every single comment under that video was just like, oh my God, she must be dead. She can't have survived. Like, that's the worst animal to be in the ocean with. Like, everyone was basically like, she must have been eaten by these killer whales. So I think it just, yeah, it was funny because I wasn't actually even in the water. And
Yeah.
even if I had been, I would have been fine. But that is such a common misconception. I think probably people watch the Blackfish documentary and assume that kind of all orcas man eating beasts,
Yeah.
but they're not. They're so gentle, they're so curious. They're obviously apex predators and are absolutely incredible hunters. But in the wild, they're just gonna be curious, gentle giants. They're not gonna eat you.
Yeah. Yeah. Humans are not their main food source.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy the impact of like media like movies that can have on people's perceptions on like certain animals.
Yeah,
Um
it's like the classic the sharks with Jaws and every single like 47 meters down, like every shark movie out there is
yeah,
doing the absolute worst for sharks.
I
The poor
know.
things.
Yeah, poor things. But yeah, actually that is so interesting. Do you think that you would do like a post on like why orcas are not the killer whales you think they are? Like
Yeah, no, I definitely should. I definitely should. There's actually a guy that I follow called the Orca Man, and he
oh
does like so many posts about orcas. I love watching all of his videos.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I should definitely. That's a great idea. I need to squash that misconception. I was in the comments being like, I am alive. They haven't been eaten. Like,
That's so yeah. 7 million people all worried for you. That's
I know it's quite sweet. I was like, oh, they care.
it is. That's really sweet. Um, so I also wanted to ask about like the sort of more about the general look at marine biology and the ocean. What do you think are the responsibilities of like scientists and viewers, digital consumers, to learn about these things and like keep themselves up to date on this information?
I think it's so tricky because there, like we said, there is so much to learn about and there's so much to educate yourself on, and it can be so overwhelming. And there is so much information out there, and not all of it is correct or accurate. And being able to kind of trust sources is really difficult. And then you also have the absolute minefield of greenwashing and companies telling you they're really sustainable.
Yeah,
And it is very, very difficult for individuals, I think, to be truly 100% ethical. And I don't think there should be massive amounts of guilt around that because it is a very difficult thing to be able to achieve and have the time and resources to put into that, doing all of that research. So it is hard.
yeah,
Um, but I think all you can do is your best, and you can make small changes in your life that kind of amount to large impact. So
yeah,
just by doing everything that you can do within your power to educate yourself, whether it's, well, it's great that social media is a thing, because you can just go on your phone when you have your commute or your 5 minutes of downtime, and the videos you watch can be extremely informative and teach you a lot. So it's
Yeah.
becoming much easier to educate yourself in that sense, because it's so accessible. But that does also mean it might not always be the most accurate, true
Mm.
information as well. So it is very, very difficult. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, all you can do is your best, really.
Yeah. And like it is good and bad with the media consumption, because you can sort of get yourself down a little rabbit hole of I don't know, some content that may not be exactly like you said, the most accurate, but finding not influencers, people that are posting about like these things that have sources that they recommend, or links to like where they're getting this information is definitely beneficial. And then also people sharing like first-hand content like you are, with the orca video, then in the comments going, guys, this is actually reality. Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's good.
it is such a tricky situation, and I think, yeah, all you can do is learn as much as you possibly can and
Yeah.
hold yourself accountable for it as well. I think um yeah, being able to look at things holistically is really key. So it is
Yeah.
tricky, but yeah, just gotta try.
For sure, for sure. I'd like to move on to some advice. You share a lot of this on your page, but some advice for young people wanting to get into marine science. What are your like key takeaways that you would like advise
Ah,
them to do?
okay, I think especially for like the marine biology field,
Yeah.
um it's again such a cliche, but having that drive and that passion is so key. So, doing as much as you can outside of your education to keep that spark alive, and to immerse yourself in those environments is really key. So, however, and whatever that looks like for you, whether that's having a hobby where you go snorkeling, or watching documentaries and movies, or volunteering, or reading about things, like whatever that is, having that passion is so key, because it is quite a tough industry, it is a tough field, and
Hmm.
just being able to keep yourself motivated is really, really important.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're getting to learn more in the process, then that's amazing. Um, and also, yeah, be kind to yourself, because it is it is tricky. So yeah, being really kind to yourself during those hard processes, like applying for uni, doing your A levels, it's so stressful. So just, yeah, it will be okay. And there's always loopholes and backdoors university wise, if you're worrying
Yeah.
about grades or anything like that. Um, you know, be patient, and it will work out, because yeah, there's definitely always ways around it. Um,
Hmm.
and then when you're at university, try and enjoy it as much as possible, because it is, like you said, exam seasons are stressful. You feel like you've got lots of different projects going on, lots of pressures. But
Hmm.
it is a really, really cool part of your life, where you're surrounded by people that love the same things as you. You're getting to live with friends, and you're also getting to work with people doing some really cool research. So just enjoy it, take it in, and yeah, have some great memories, because it is very, very cool. Um, and then for anyone kind of finishing uni or coming out of uni, I think, like, I had a massive learning phase when I came out of uni, because I was so desperate to know exactly what I wanted to do and to know your next steps. I think it's tricky, because you know, your whole education, you're kind of told, right, once you've done your A levels, you then go to university for this many years, and everything is very structured, and you kind of have those next 5 years planned out for you.
Yeah.
So it was very like overwhelming finishing university and then going, oh my gosh, I have no idea what my next 5 years are going to look like. And it can be very difficult. So that was really a big learning curve of being able to accept that not knowing is really exciting because yeah, your future is unknown and you've got so many different options out there. And it is okay to take a little bit of time to figure that out, and where you're meant to be is going to be there, and it's all about kind of not rushing and feeling like you're wasting time, because it's all very valuable lessons that you can learn in that kind of unknown limbo phase in a
Yeah.
way. Yeah, all my friends, like we're all doing slightly different things with our careers, and we're all still have that common ground of loving marine biology, and we're all working in slightly different ways with that. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's a very cool industry and field to be in, with lots of different options, and figuring out where you need to be. It's okay if that takes a little bit of time.
Yeah. I really appreciate that advice because a lot of the time we hear things just related to our CV, and I feel like we're pushed obviously through, the system you were talking about. It's like through school, college, university, or whatever, to just focus on that stuff. So really highlighting to, younger audiences or people in university, whatever age really, as long as you keep the passion alive, everything else will kind of follow. That's really important as well.
Yeah, definitely. And, putting value in things like outside of your grades, and like all the, yeah, like you say, like tick box things for your CV,
Yeah,
do things because you enjoy them and because
yeah,
they bring you joy and they make you happy. That is so key, as well. But yeah, no, it is tricky, I think. Yeah, you are pushed definitely down a bit of a funnel. So trying to find who you are inside of that is hard. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And everyone's in the same position though. So, you look around at all of your friends and you're all sort of finding yourself in this vast ocean. Um,
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. I think it's been my lesson this year that the more people I've met, you realize no one actually really knows what they're doing. No
no
one
one
has a
does.
massive plan. And it is such a refreshing thing to talk to people about, because I think you always look up to people and you think, wow, they must have it all together. They've
Yeah,
achieved so much, and they must know, they must have this so much certainty in their life.
yeah,
And actually, no one really has any massive idea of what is going on. And
yeah.
everyone is living life for the first time. So, yeah, remembering that is really key.
Yeah, it's also kind of exciting as well to think about that because you're like, okay, obviously you have to, show respect to people, they have got much more experience than you, but at the same time, it's like you can walk into any room and you can make a big impact regardless of like who you are or how much knowledge you have because yeah, ultimately everyone's kind of on the same playing field. So yeah, that's really
Yeah.
inspiring.
Yeah, and it's also remembering those people have been where you are at some point in their life as well. And
Yeah,
like they were you once, they were feeling like they didn't know much, or they were a small fish in a big pond.
yeah,
So, there's a lot of empathy in that, of understanding that like we're all just trying to make our way in the world.
yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of kind of solidarity around feeling that way.
I love that. Okay, so to close, I would like to ask you if somebody has 5 minutes a day to help the ocean, what should they do?
I mean, that is a pretty epic question. And I guess it kind of like links back to what we were talking about earlier, in terms of like all you can do is your best. And like there is like endless streams of information and things that you can do out there. And whether that's you watching a video, reading an academic paper, whether it's you buying less plastic, or recycling, or
Mhm.
you know cycling to work, or anything like that. Those like really small things all add up to being um a much bigger impact overall.
Yeah,
And you do have a lot of power in that. So yeah, even if it is just that 5 minutes a day, all of those things are going to have a huge kind of cumulative effect on your life. And then, if hopefully everyone starts doing that, the world will be a little bit of a better place. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it is kind of one of those things where I flip-flop between going, oh, everyone can make a difference, and then you have moments where you feel really like, oh, the world is against me because there are these huge corporations controlling the entire thing, and you feel so small. But
Hmm.
no, it is remembering that you as a person can make a huge difference, and yeah, it doesn't take much time to be able to do that.
Yes, exactly. That is so important. Every single person. It's not like, oh, it's all down to you to fix it. But it's like if you make one decision in your life, 5 minutes a day to just educate yourself a little bit more, it does put the power in your hands. And yeah, it doesn't have to be a grand thing. Like you said, it can just be maybe in those 5 minutes, you're like, okay, I'm going to think about the ocean. What can I do? You switch from using, I don't know, plastic water bottles to a reusable one. And that's such a little thing. But yeah, like you said, there are also so many resources out there for you to learn about this kind of stuff. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely about yeah, that idea of like, yes, you are doing it individually, but hopefully if everyone does a little individual thing, it all
Yeah.
makes that really, really big difference. So there
Mhm.
is power in that.
Amazing. You have power. I love that. So, yeah, just to close this episode, thank you so much for our wonderful conversation. It's been so insightful and inspiring. And yeah, I'd like to plug your social media. Where can people find you? What are you doing? All of that stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well, thank you for the amazing questions. It's been really, really lovely to talk to you. And
Yes.
yeah, marine biology posts on all platforms. Ooh.
Okay. Amazing. I really, really appreciate you having you on. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you for joining us on the Open Ocean Pod today. Make sure to leave a like or comment if you enjoyed. And don't forget to check out our Instagram or LinkedIn pages for any updates. And if you have any requests or feedback, we'd love to hear it. Listen on YouTube or Spotify next week for another insightful episode. See you next time.